Welcome to the Healthcare Provider Happy Hour. This is a safe space where we invite healthcare providers to unapologetically be themselves after the working day. My name is Jennifer George, and each week I will connect you with guests and stories that will help transform your stress to success and fulfillment. Are you with me? Grab your drink of choice and let's chat. Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthcare Provider Happy Hour. I'm your host, Jennifer George, and I'm joining you today to chat with you a little bit about what are the greatest gifts that we can give others, whether they're our patients, whether they're our clients, whether they're families, caregivers in the circle, whether they're our colleagues, whether they're just people in our personal lives. What are the greatest gifts that we can give other people? And this is something that I've just been reflecting on and have come up with 5 of them. I'm sure there's more to add. And if you have more to add, I would love for you to let me know what those are. You can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle's at bestobsessedwithjen, or just leave a comment in the show notes on the episode page. But let's start with it. So the first one is making time or taking time. Okay, so this is huge. Time is such a huge gift, especially nowadays. We are all racing against the clock. And if you could just pause for a moment and give someone your time, or make the time to give to someone, that goes such a long way. So when I'm thinking about patient care interactions, for example, it's kind of funny because sometimes, I work on an inpatient unit. And so when the session is over, when the therapeutic session is over and I'm bringing someone back to their room and they just kind of get settled in, and then they'll say, and usually what I'll say is, is there anything I can get for you or do for you before I leave? And one of the things that often come up are a glass of water or a cup of water. And then they'll say, well, never mind, you're too busy, it's okay. And I can't tell you how far that goes in giving someone a gift, right? And recognizing that extra 2 minutes that I take to run down the hall and get somebody a cup of water goes such a long way in creating a trusted therapeutic rapport with them. And, just taking the time is so important, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time, but it's just something that's just a little bit extra maybe, or a finer touch that you notice that really shows that you're there and that you really do just want them to be as comfortable as possible, and that, you are as present as you possibly can be, which the second gift is presence. And for me, presence, it really means acknowledging another person. So acknowledging someone, listening to them, and then holding space for them to share their emotions, share their perspectives, share their feelings, and validating that. Presence doesn't really require a lot of action, but it requires time, and it requires the space, right? It requires just holding that for someone and just being present. And that's one of the second greatest gifts that I think you can give someone. Third, and this is something that sometimes, I shouldn't say sometimes, this is, I think, a gift that I often give without even necessarily saying it sometimes. It's not so tangible, but that is sending people good thoughts, sending people prayers, telling people that you're thinking about them, that you're wishing them well, that you're rooting for them, whatever it might be. That is huge, in my opinion. Is not only just what's happening in the moment with somebody, but then also recognizing that there is more to their journey, and that just because of the time that's definite between the two of you is completed, let's say the session's over or the conversation's over, but that you continue to think about them and that you continue to feel impacted by them, but not in such a way that it consumes you, but in a way that you just wish them well. You wish them safety, you wish them well-being, you wish them empowerment, right? You wish them freedom and independence, things that you just hope for someone else, I think, is a really big gift. And, sometimes after what a patient is leaving or is being discharged, and I know they've got a road ahead of them, I'll often say, I'll be thinking about you, I'll be sending you well wishes, and I'm wishing the best for you. And that is something that I often will say, but it really is not just words, it really is a matching energy to that as well. So I think that's really important, is that non-tangible as well, is just the good energy that you carry with you, the light that you bring with you in every interaction. Fourth, and this, I don't know if you'll see as a gift, but I do, is being true to yourself. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit of an extension of what Suzanne Falter and I were talking about when it came to the self-care basics, which is really like knowing what you need and knowing your boundaries, for example. So boundaries here and being true to that for yourself is really important. Okay, because in healthcare, it's really easy to get consumed by others' agendas and by others' emotions, of course, and tragedies. And, as a result, we suffer trauma too, in some cases, as Suzanne referred to as referred trauma. And I think it's really important for us to also recognize what we need before we go into these interactions. And this is kind of a practice that we have to kind of embody every single day, is just knowing what we need, knowing what our boundaries are, who our supports are. Because I'll tell you something, if you try to be everything to everyone, that's going to lead to resentment, because you can't possibly be everything to everyone. You can't possibly be liked by everyone, and you shouldn't have to feel like you need to be liked by everyone, okay? Because not everyone is for everyone, right? We are who we are. We're all very different. And I think that if you try to just appease others, that really is a reflection of an insecurity on our part, okay? And then that can lead to resentment. It could lead to, an overstepping of boundaries, which then end up making us feel worse about ourselves. So we have to kind of recognize that for what it is. And by being true to ourselves, recognize that we are actually then able to have the reserve and the energy to give to others. Okay. Because I really do think that if you get into, for example, people pleasing and just trying to, focus on satisfaction alone and stuff like that, you just start to lose your sense of self sometimes, and you don't recognize what you need, or you forget to ask yourself what you need, and you lose yourself. And then that leads to resentment, and then that can lead to toxicity, and that can lead to just a vicious cycle of that. So being true to yourself is really a gift that you are giving others, and they don't see that. They don't know, right? They might not know the practice that you do every single day, or that you're being every single day. But trust me, it's a good way for you to really know who your circle is, who your support system really is, and to feel more understood as well by others. And finally, the last greatest gift, which I'm sure you could probably assume, is service. And service to me is action. Okay. Holding space, being present is so important. But again, in healthcare, when we are in the position to serve and we are on that side of the therapeutic rapport, then that is the expectation, is that we're there to serve, however that might look. And I think it's only then when we feel like we are being true to ourselves as well, and that we are in alignment with our values and our moral agreements and ethics and things like that, that we can really truly serve from our best place as well. So empathizing with others in such a way that we can still serve, and serve compassionately, and also serve therapeutically, and in such a way that people do get the outcomes that they're hopeful for, and that it doesn't take as much away from our sense of self, from our emotional energy reservoir, and things of that nature. So service is another gift that you can give. Of course, that is why we are in healthcare to begin with, but I don't think it's the only gift, because if we get stuck in service alone and all we're doing is serving, doing, we're not really taking in the greater picture of what's going on around us. And then at some point, something is going to make us take a second look and hit us hard, some kind of tragedy perhaps, or some kind of situation. And then we're going to think, oh my goodness, how did I get here? And so I think it's really important to always be in that position of service and be ready to serve, but also especially being true to yourself, making the time for yourself, being present with yourself, and also sending yourself well wishes as well. So all of these gifts that you're giving to others, recognize that they are gifts that we should be giving to ourselves too. So if you have any questions about this podcast, or if you just want to chat about it, or if you enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it, let me know. My handle is at Best Obsessed with Jen on Instagram, which is where I am most present. If you like these podcasts, please leave an iTunes review. It really helps to move this podcast forward. It helps me to show up every week with the resources that I need to better serve you and make my small contribution to healthcare, which I adore and believe in so much. So if you could do that, that would mean the world to me. And until we chat next time, remember to stay well and to stay happy. So if you guys like this podcast, please subscribe and leave an honest review. Your feedback means everything to me. Your reviews are what moves this podcast forward, and I always appreciate receiving them. If you want to get a hold of me directly, reach out to me on social media. My handles are in the show notes, and you can always subscribe to my weekly newsletters at jennifergeorge.co so that we can stay connected. So until next time, thank you guys so much again for your ongoing support.